Hello everyone. Today, I, Aafreen from BaaBee TV, would be interviewing Ms. Saakshi Singla, who is an educator, child development and family expert, an author, and a counseling psychologist. Hello Saakshi, how are you doing?
I'm good, Aafreen. How are you?
I'm also good. Okay, so Sakshi would love to hear about your journey now, as I feel it would be a great inspiration to our audience.
Sure. My journey spans a little more than 2 decades. Um, it's been a great journey because I've had a commitment which I made to myself many, many years ago. And I'm just, everything that I do now works around that commitment, which is to somewhere try and help make this world a little bit more mindful, kind, and gender equal for our future generations. So whatever I've done and whatever I'm doing is actually all centered around this one commitment that I made long ago. Like you've just told the audience, I'm a child development expert and I have a master's in child development and psychology. I'm also pursuing a PhD now at this age in positive psychology and emotional intelligence. I've worked for many years in the e-learning, training, course content, curriculum development industry, which is the K-12 domain. And I have authored 29 books in this domain. I'm now also working as a child and family counselor, and I specialize in parenting, something I feel a lot of people now have started understanding is the need of the hour, and relationship repair work with families. So if they get around healing themselves and finding and understanding what's been bothering them or what are the issues that they've been battling, they then can work, parents can work on themselves and make sure that that baggage does not get carried on to their children and from their children to their children. So I want to break that vicious cycle. I'm also a gender equality advocate. I do a lot of work on that. A youth mentor, and I'm also teaching MA psychology students. So everything that I do, like I said, is around that same vision that I have.
That's amazing. You're doing quite a lot of things, and we would love to, of course, know more about it. So, as you mentioned earlier, that you have written 29 books. So
Yes.
I know. So, which one is your favorite, or you spend a lot of time and a lot of energy in kind of writing that one. Which is that one?
Sure. I've done a lot of curriculum books. I've written 3 parenting books for 3 different age groups for teenagers, for young children, and very young children. But my favorite are a series which I call a Rendezvous series, which I actually wrote from the stories I used to tell my children. So these stories are 2 children going around the world with their parents, and what they learn out there and their experiences are all based on my traveling experiences, and my children are the protagonists in these books. And yes, they are my favorite.
That's amazing. I think you would love to read that one as well. So, Sakshi, post-COVID situation has completely changed. So, in
Yeah.
the current new situation of offline versus online, there are disparaging views from different set of people. What is your opinion on the same?
Um, I might differ from what other people are talking about, so that's a disclaimer. But I really feel that we need to give the credit and a lot of credit to academic institutions, to teachers, also homeschooler moms who are teaching at home now, because the children have learned leaps and bounds. And that's thanks to the very steep learning curve that teachers had and how schools suddenly changed into online places, learning technology for the first time for some teachers. And I think it's been amazing. Many parents, though, are very worried that their children are lagging behind or will be lagging behind, and the screen time of the children's really increased. But again, my take is I think it's easier to blame the school and the online school for increase in screen time. What about parents spending more time with them beyond those 4 or 5 hours of online school they are doing. um, because parents are working, it is also difficult, I understand, for them to teach maybe more life skills or play more with them or encourage them to do more activities offline. um, but I think that is also parents' responsibility beyond the schools. So yes, I have a mixed reaction to this. I feel online versus offline might not be better, but it's not bad too, because it's taught our children a lot more things. It's taught them to find their own answers, understand technology better, which is the future, right? And also learn many more life skills which they never would have done if this pandemic had not hit. Doing more innovative projects, vis-a-vis doing, learning through a lecture mode that they were doing in schools. So if we look at the good parts of this online schooling situation that we are in, because of course, the uncertain times, it's got a lot of pros as well. But as parents, we need to be very mindful of not blaming it all to the school or not blaming it all on to the new online structure that we have, and try and make it more mindful and easier for children to do more stuff with them when they are off school time. So yes, that's my take.
That's really interesting. I feel that one has to kind of, thrive in the new normal that we all are calling. One just has to thrive in and grow and nurture and go with the flow in this new normal that we are in.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Sakshi, if we talk about adolescents' behavior, it's very radical in the teen years. So, how can parents and teenagers come to a common ground and create a safe place for them?
Okay, that's my favorite topic. I have two young adults, 20 and 21. I've gone through the entire teenage journey. I counsel a lot of parents and I also mentor youth. Um, when you say the radical changes in behavior, yes, they are there, but the radical change is also in a teenager's brain. So, teenager's brain is changing and developing too. And what parents have now started understanding is that there are pubertal changes and they prepare them for the physical changes. But the parents most often themselves don't know how adolescent's brain is changing. So we see a lot of nagging, a lot of correcting, a lot of battles going on in many homes. Instead of that, what is really required is maybe trying to connect more with our teenagers. And that can only happen if we understand where are the swings coming from. There is an increased risk taking capability. There is looking at the world from a different perspective than their parents, being rebellious. And all these traits are actually coming from the rapid brain development that teenagers are going through. So they are at this time thinking more from their emotional brain, and the rational thought part of the brain takes much longer to develop. It only develops by the age of 25. So most parents don't know this. If we understand that this is what our children are doing is not bad behavior, or they're not being wanting to disrespect us or wanting to be have behavior that we don't like. Instead, if we try and understand what's going on in their brains and their challenges, um, I think it is they will find a common ground with teenagers, which is so difficult. I see so many relationships, I won't say broken, but strained between the parent and the teenagers this time. And most often it comes from, I think, not understanding each other, or not really going on in their minds, is what I feel is the culprit. So to when you ask me how do you get them to make a common ground or a safe place, I think the only way is understanding and open communication, not correcting too much, not nagging a lot, not lecturing. Those are the things that don't work with children. And one last thing, the acceptance that if our children want to really do well in their lives, they have to be separate, independent individuals from us. So they're going to have a different kind of thinking. That acceptance will make the teenagers come and have a much more open communication. And hence, I guess the home then becomes a safe place and they don't go out and look for answers, or they're not looking for emotional support outside, they get it back at home.
That was really amazing. I think just one parental advice that every parent can take it from you, that every child is different, is subjective, and we have to respect that. We have to respect their boundaries and our boundaries as well.
Yeah,
So that is really
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
okay. So Sakshi, when we talk about children, some are extroverts and they love to talk about themselves around their surroundings, while others take their own time. They are introverts. How do you think we can bridge the gap between these two?
That's a difficult question because there's lots happening in this world, and we've realized that introverts have a power which is huge as well. And we've got, we in our society, in our homes, in our schools, we've always given more preference to people who are children who are extroverts. We feel they're more confident. We feel that they'll end up doing better in their lives. But they say the power of introversion is amazing as well. You see a lot of big CEOs in this world who are all introverts. I mean, look at the Facebook CEO or many others. Um, so bridging the gap, I guess, is according to me not really required, because extroverts come with their kind of power and introverts come with that kind of power. I'll tell you where the bridging of gap is required. Bridging of gap is required in our own understanding that all children are different. All adults are different. They have some would be extroverts, some would be introverts, but the bridging of gap is required where we start accepting our children for who they are, instead of really trying hard to change them, because in our minds we've made a connection with extroversion with success and introversion with failure, which is not the truth. So they need to be just be themselves, and the world needs both kinds actually. Hence, we need to bridge the gap in our understanding and not in them really.
Very true, very true. So we have different parenting styles as well that we see around us. And how would you define the role and responsibility of a parent who loves to overparent, or can I say over pamper their kids? How would you define their roles and responsibility?
Um, Again, something very difficult sometimes for parents to understand and take it forward. Um, the problem is the guilt that we have of maybe working or overworking or not spending time with our children. That makes us to maybe sometimes overcompensate, not with our time, but with material goods. Research and statistics have been indicating for very long that children of parents who work outside and of parents who are house managers both turn out well. But they turn out well in the condition where the guilt of leaving them behind or overcompensating with material things is not there. Over pampering is, of course, never a good idea. But uh, children, I think, need unconditional love, loads of it. I've heard a lot of parents saying that, if I'm going to show that I really love him, or I go out to say that too many times, the child's going to take me for granted and I should be firm. Which again, I think is a wrong way of going towards our children, because they need connection, they need unlimited, unconditional love, and they need to understand that they have champions who are going to root for them always, and our home should be that for sure. um, but with positive discipline, limited toys, money spent on experiences, an inspiring home environment, good emotional climate, um, I think over pampering on these things or overdoing on these things is much better than working our guilt out and looking at putting a lot of material things out there which can overcompensate our time not being spent with them. So it is their responsibility, but yes, giving them a better environment is a much better option. And over pampering on love, I think there is nothing wrong on it. I think they need a lot of love, but yes, keeping the material goods out, not bribing them for doing well in their lives, and again, not overcompensating is, I think, the right recipe.
Very true, very true. I think you have rightly put it forward. I think all the aspects of it, that over pampering should be in terms of affection, love, and attachment, not in terms of material goods.
Absolutely.
Then
Absolutely.
I think the kids can learn further from it rather than I think material goods is something which was there, which have a effect for a limited period of time, not for a longer period of time. That effect will go off.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we have talked about over pampering parents as well. So if we talk on the other hand, there are parents which try to micromanage their kids as well, and which have negative repercussion on their thinking, on their life. So what advice would you like to give to the parents out there who try to micromanage their kids?
Okay, micromanaging or helicopter parenting that we most of us now understand, or another term I love to use is snow plowing parenting, which is when we are trying our hardest to remove all the obstacles that come in our children's path of success is uh, are all bad. They need, what children need is firm parenting, yes. They need to be guided, they need to be channelized, but not letting them learn how this life works, because it never goes on the straight line. It's not gone on a straight line for you, for me, or for anybody. We keeping them away from small adversities is the biggest repercussion that can something like this micromanaging or helicopter parenting or slow snow plow parenting can bring. Children become inept to run their own lives well. There is lack of resilience. Um, there is also a feeling of a sheltered life where you're looking at a next person in line who you could lean on, and blaming all your problems and your faults and what's gone wrong with your life on other people instead of being intrinsically motivated enough to kind of run it yourself. The other problem with helicopter parenting or micromanaging, how you call it, is lack of life skills. Not having enough emotion regulation skills, which are very important. And in the end, all this makes them incapable of handling social, personal, professional challenges that they are going to get tomorrow. So yes, I think that is something, if we internalize, we'll let our children be sometimes and let them fall, let them have their own issues, let them maybe get a hearing from their teacher if they've not finished their work or their project, instead of sitting and finishing it for them, because they will be saved from that not so good marks or grades tomorrow. So that's my take on it.
I think I totally agree with you when you said the coping skills are what is are these are the skills which is actually missing from the today's generation.
Yeah, you've said it right. The coping skills,
Yeah. So
which,
either
yeah,
they avoid or they escape the situation. Facing the real life situation is something they kind of run from. What
yes.
if this? What if that? So Sakshi, in today's digital age where we see kids have a very limited attention span, what can be done to enhance their cognitive skills as well?
Um, for Actually, we need to look at the child as a whole child. A child is his social relationships, his cognitive being, his emotional self. We need to see how the morality is being developed. We as parents have always talked more about how well they're doing in school, how the cognitive capabilities are being increased. Now, cognition also means, telling them stories. Cognition also means them exploring the world. Cognitive abilities are also in terms of having a good a visual spatial understanding, which comes from, maybe puzzles, comes from a lot of places. We need to understand that if we are talking about just the cognition and cognitive abilities in this context, the problem is also that we are actually asking our children to study for many hours at a stretch, and we think that their cognitive abilities will increase. But it doesn't work like that. So if our children are more aware, they are doing more things with their hand. Uh, that is going to be something which is going to give them experience, and that experience helps them build their cognitive abilities. The concentration is, yes, a problem, because we are also asking them to sit in a lecture mode. We are asking them to study for much longer than required. For example, I'm going to ask you a question, something that you really like, Afreen. You don't need to really spend a lot of concentrated time on it. It just happens.
Right.
It also it depends what kind of boring lecture or boring schoolwork or the kind of projects which are not giving them enough inspiration and motivation. They are going to have concentration problems. So instead of, I always believe, instead of blaming our kids or saying that our kids have a concentration problem, as a teacher who's also teaching adult students in a university, I always take it to myself to make my lessons more interesting, more involving, relating them with real life. And I don't see the concentration problems that I see when I'm doing a boring lecture, or when I'm what I am delivering as a mother or as a teacher is extremely boring for the other people, other children to take. So I'm sorry I'm twisting all your questions, but that's the truth. I think we need to look inside us, look at what we do, what are we doing to make them more inspired and motivated to learn. I think all these problems will be solved then, and easily so.
That is really wonderful. I feel seeing it from their point of view, as you rightly put it forward, if something, that doesn't, that really kind of, drives me or, motivates me, I would be like, okay, let it be. I'll do it later. Or, I'll just say, I'll just do it for the heck of it. But if
Yeah.
I'm really interested in it, I would invest more time and more energy in it as well.
So we need to make our lessons more interesting. We need to be more inspiring ourselves as parents. And I think we would have handled a lot of these problems. And that's the goal, right?
Right, of course. I think everyone can take all these advice and the vices that you shared from us. Thank you for sharing all these insights. It was really nice. I had an amazing time with you. I hope you had a nice time too.
I really enjoyed, Afreen. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye bye.